Good afternoon and blessings out there, everybody. What's going on? It's your man, Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders, where poverty ends with us. First of all, I want to give everybody out there a very, very Merry Christmas. It is Christmas Eve. I'm still here at the office. Had a very, very productive day. Really, really productive day, helping families and also working on some other things that we're doing to save, grow, and make money. Right. So some amazing things coming down the pipe. Can't wait to share that with you. Been a minute since I've been on here because we've been traveling quite a bit. We've been to the DR. We've been to Florida. I want to take this time to acknowledge our two brokers that we promoted. So they are now agency owners within our organization. So we're super proud of Richard and Lamisha Hughes down in the Port St. Lucie, Florida area. We've been down there with them celebrating. They actually just opened an office down there. So if you're in the Port St. Lucie area, St. Lucie County, go check them out. You definitely want to go check them out. And then we're super proud of Bishop and Dr. Johnson all the way on the other coast over in Fort Myers, Florida, Generational Wealth Builders Southwest. So again, super proud of them attaining the level of broker. They are actual agency owners. So we're super proud of them and what they have accomplished. So that's why I haven't really been able to be on because we've been working and growing them. And then we're actually doing a lot of work here in the local Memphis office. We have two people that are in our broker and training program that are looking mighty good here to pop out as brokers so they can become agency owners to take this message that we're sharing to the next level. And that's Tina Washington and Monicia Sim. So again, want to shout them out as well for all the hard work they've been doing. But look, I want to come to you again. First of all, let me take this time to thank all of you that are our clients, that are our partners, those of you all that have supported us down through the year. Thank you so much. We had a banner year. This has probably been our best year since we have been in business. And one of the great things about it is this. We have our regional convention coming up in Nashville the first week of January 4th through the 7th. And my wife and I are platform speakers. So again, we could not have accomplished such a great feat if you all had not trusted us to be able to help you prepare your family for financial freedom. And so we want to thank you. I want to take this time out to personally thank you, each one of you, everyone that did what they did, whether again you allowed us to serve you or not. Thank you, because again, in some way or another, you helped us go to the next level, right? For those that work with us, again, you helped us go to another level. For those that did not, that helped us become more better to refine our craft. So we want to thank you all for that. So again, Merry Christmas to you all. May the Lord bless you. May your upcoming new year be different. I pray that it be better. I pray that you change. I pray that you grow. All right. So let's get into it. Right. So I've been researching a particular matter, right? Because I'm getting to a point now where as our business grows, I'm looking to make sure that we don't become so focused on growth that we miss serving our community, right? The agents that work with me will tell you I'm always focused on the community. And so I want to make sure that our products and services are able to provide a net positive to the community. And so I was traveling, I'm on a plane, and I happened to roll past this particular article, and it comes out of New York. And the article is about a police deputy in New York who has over 19 years on the job. And he becomes diagnosed with cancer. And now the police department in New York is looking to terminate him. I think he's right there about 6 months away from retiring, but they're terminating him, right? His name is Derek Williams, 19-year police veteran in Mount Vernon, who is 6 months away from retirement. But because he's going through kidney failure right now and has to do dialysis, they're literally trying to terminate him so he can't get his retirement. That is diabolical, if you ask me. I think there is nothing That's just, I don't have words that I can probably say online about that. But this man, can you imagine? This man has given 19 years to his community. And now, at the time when he needs his community to most, when he needs the job the most, now the job is basically saying that they're going to terminate him because right now he can't do what they consider to be light duty. How diabolical is that? Let me get these off real quick. Here we go. Of course, it'll do it now. But because he cannot do the work, they're basically saying that they're going to terminate him. All he has to do is just get 6 months till he retires. And so I've read some places where they're saying that, when he gets fired, his health insurance benefits are going to cut off. So imagine, if you would, there you are. You've given the better part of your life to your community, serving this particular job. And all of a sudden, in the time that you need them the most, they put you out the pasture. That's what's happening here to Mr. Williams. And y'all know, I still have a bug in my crawl about what's going on with this Shelby County deputy that while he was on his way to a call, the motorcycle cop who was knocked off has traumatic brain injury. And now they're like, hey, man, we don't know what to tell you, right? And I know right now they're talking about reinstating the medical retirement. But folks, this is why it is important for us to understand that you cannot have all your eggs in one basket. When it comes to the benefits that you get at your job, you must understand they are not exhaustive. The benefits that you get from your job and the insurances that you get from your job are not something that you want to put all your eggs in one basket. Why is that? Because of what's happening here. Your life, your livelihood is now in the hands of bureaucrats. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about why you need to make sure that you have insurances outside your job that are going to make sure that, God forbid, if life should happen, if you're diagnosed with something, you want to make sure that you have an outside insurance that is going to protect your livelihood, right? So let's talk a little bit about it. When you have insurance outside of your employer, right, it provides you an additional layer of protection that should fill the gaps when your employers won't, right? Meaning, if your employer is saying, okay, what happened to you? You're down. You can't work for 90 days, at least 90 days. Well, guess what? It takes 6 to 8 weeks for your short-term disability to kick in. So what are you going to do financially from period 1 to the 8-week period when it actually kicks in? This is what people don't like to think about, but we must think about it because you never know when life is going to come knocking at your door. We're always one phone call away from being uninsurable. And so you want to make sure that you have something that, God forbid, if it happens, and again, I know we have faith. I know we shout, we declare the victory, we declare healing and all of that. I understand that. But at the same time, we also have to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove, right? So you must make sure that you are protected. It's nobody else's responsibility to make sure that you and your family are protected. So when you have outside insurance, you want to make sure that it kicks in as soon as you go down, right? You can't be waiting 90 days, 6 months for money. Because what that's going to trigger you to do, that's going to trigger you now to start blowing out your savings. That's going to trigger you now to want to pull from your 401k, which, folks, we should never, ever do. You should never pull from your retirement money because your retirement money is your bill money for your future self. So realistically, that's for future Rod, that's for future Jake, that's for future whoever you are. That money is not for you to be pulling and paying stuff off with. It's not. And the reason why we do that is because we don't have the proper insurances outside of our employer. So that being said, you want to make sure that when it comes to choosing that, you need to make sure the very first thing is that when does that kick in, right? How soon does it kick in? Now, I'm going to tell you there's one that's very popular. It uses a lot of, high-level coaches and stuff like that, and got a funny little caricature there. But here's what I want you to understand about that, right? They top out about $100,000, right? They top out about $100,000. And what they pay out, it depends on what they want to give to you. Now, I'm not calling no names, so I don't need y'all out there reporting me, but I just want y'all to know, if you've seen Prime Time, if you've seen Coach Nick Saban, if you've seen Coach Don Staley on there, right, that's who I'm talking about. You need to make sure that you understand what they're giving you. Right now, yeah, they may give you $1,300. They may give you this, they may give you that. But guess what? I have a client who told me that they had that particular product and say that they had to go through something with the newborn, and say as a result of that, they expected it to kick in because they got $1 million+ bill. When it kicked in, they only gave them $1,300. That's it. We're like, wait, what? I've been paying all this in, and all y'all gonna give me a $1,300? Exactly right. That's what happened. But either way, like I say, that's why you must understand. You must ask the hard question. So one of the questions you should be is, okay, what are the limits, bro? If this happens, how much am I gonna get? If this happens, what is gonna happen? What does that process look like? That's the first thing you want to ask. The next thing you need to make sure of is that you want to make sure that when it comes to that, you need to understand what triggers them to pay out, right? What triggers them to pay out? So it should be an accident. It should be a illness. It should be a critical illness. Is it if you have a heart attack, stroke, what kind of cancers will it pay out on? What if I get in a bad car wreck? What is going to happen when it's going to turn around and generate and start supplementing my income? That's what you need, folks. Real talk. When you're going through what you're going through, you need something that's going to come in and supplement your income. I submit to you that if this officer would have had somebody, and I'm not saying he didn't, but if somebody would have came to him and said, hey man, look, you need to have a life insurance policy that has living benefits that'll give you up to 80% of your death benefit while you're still alive. Think about it. That's now a life insurance policy that, depending on the severity of it and sound like what he's going through, out of that $2 million, his family gets $1.6 million straight up. Does that help that family out? Absolutely. Because now you have some breathing room. You still get what's coming to you from your employer, but now your family is not struggling. That's what I want y'all to hear. Listen, hear me. Because what happens most often is people don't have the coverage. They get to a point where they're sick. Now you got to start auctioning stuff off. You got to start selling stuff. You got to try to go get a home equity loan. You got to start doing all of these things where now you're dependent on something else because you didn't have it in place beforehand. That's why I'm talking to you on Christmas Eve. I'm talking to you on Christmas Eve because this bothers me. This bothers me to my core. I hate seeing, it breaks my heart when I see families losing what they've worked for, right? It breaks my heart to see families having to go down in stature because an illness comes into place. We never know what's going to happen. We are not omniscient. We can, however, prepare and protect ourselves. So again, the sad part is many workers rely on their employer plans, but you got to understand this, those plans change. And it's not changing to benefit you. It's normally being changed in order to fit within their budget for the year, right? That's what is happening. And again, I'm not one way or the other about it. I understand from a business standpoint, they have to do what they have to do. But again, you, in order to protect your family, must do what you have to do, all right? And this is why outsourcing and making sure that you have a supplemental health care plan is so important, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about the gaps in coverage. And again, I need y'all to understand something. So let me tell y'all something. A lot of y'all may not know this because y'all like, this guy for real? Those initials behind my last name. I mean, I have a master's in human resource management. I understand HR. I'll never be an HR manager because I'm the kind of guy that's going to tell you, if you don't get your goofy self back out there to work, we ain't got no time for that. What? They said, what? You ain't hit your productivity. And they said, what? Okay, yeah. Get your goofy self on back out there. That's me. That's how I'm wired. But what I want you to understand is you must understand the coverages that are given you. And a lot of times people just went through open enrollment. I guarantee you 95% of people don't understand what you have. I'm willing to bet. Why is that? Because we just signed. We don't want to read the fine print. Because again, in our mind, psychologically, we don't ever want to have to need that. So we don't really look into it, but folks, you really should. So let's talk a little bit about it. Again, as I said, short-term disability. Most times you're going to have to wait about 8 weeks to get that money, right? And that's only going to be about 66% of your salary. So think about it like this. I always like doing numbers, right? If you are making $5,000 a month, let me get an easy number. If you making, I say $5,000 a month, you're only gonna get about 66% of that, which is a little over $3,000. So think about that. That remaining 40-something percent or 30-something percent that you're missing, what does that do? How does that impact your household, right? Most people, especially if you have two income homes, they're living somewhere between 75 to 80% of both incomes. So if you're making $100,000 a year, that means most time your bills equal about $80,000. That's why it's hard for people to save, right? It's hard for people to save because, okay, I got a car, you got a car, you pay this, you pay that. But again, most of your check is consumed. And most people, very few people, have 10 to 15% that they can actually save, right? Very few people. And again, I'm not talking down. I'm just letting you know the reality of it. This comes from sitting with hundreds of families, and I'm seeing the exact same things. Now, that being said, you must understand that if you are down for 6 to 8 weeks before you receive any money, guess what that means? That now means you have a dip. That means something finna go lacking. And what's going to go lacking? If you're 70, 80, 90% of your budget, and now you're missing 32% of half of what you need, what's going to go lacking? This is what happens when people, this is what happens. And so the very first thing people are going to do, they're going to start pulling from their 401k. And again, as I said earlier, one of the worst things you can do. Your long-term disability kicks in about 6 months, and again, it could be up to about 80%. But watch this. It is still the employer's discretion. You can't say what it's going to be because your employer pays for it. So what does that mean? That means if you're going through something, and again, you have to continue to go through therapy. You have to continue to be rehab. There's residual effects. What are you going to do for money? Again, you're going to go back to bleeding everything that you have. Nobody wants to liquidate everything that you have. Nobody should want to do that. Nobody should want to be in that case. This is why, again, I am a firm believer in the term policies that have the living benefits. Because again, here we go again. 80% of it, let's say you only have $1 million in coverage. That's up to $800,000 you get in order to make sure your family is straight. Can you then make sure your mortgage is paid up? Can you then make sure your cars are paid off? Can you then make sure you're able to go and get the treatment that you need? Absolutely. So now you focus more on your recovery and you're not focusing on bills. You're able now to truly recover and you don't have the stress of not having money and worrying about this and worrying about that. That's what happened. You're able to do that. And I would much rather be in that situation than be in a situation where I got to try to figure it out, or I got to try to come up with the money, or whatever the case may be. That's not it. And especially if you're a business owner. If you are a business owner, Lord help, what's going to happen with you? Especially if you're self-employed. If you're a doctor, lawyer, nurse, truck driver, landscaper, barber, what are you going to do? Because you are your job. If you don't show up, no bread is coming in. So that's why it's definitely critical for you to make sure that you have a life insurance policy with living benefits, right? Because you want to make sure that, again, God forbid, if something happens, you know what to do. You know what monies are coming in. That's what you want to make sure. Because, again, one of the other things that you cannot really account for is the rehab cycle. What does the recovery cycle look like? How many people have gone through a health challenge and had to go back to work not fully healed, but they had to go back for financial reasons and risk further setbacks? That's what we're talking about here. Let's talk about my man that we're talking about here, Mr. Derek Williams. They cleared him for light duty, but watch this, because there's no such thing as light duty for patrol officers. They're saying there's nothing for you, man, and we got to terminate you. After 19 and a half years, all he needs is 6 months to retire, and they're going to terminate him. You can say what you want to say. I blame the city council. I blame them. But at the same time, how many know we're responsible for our own self? City council is not responsible for me taking care of my family. My employer is not responsible for me taking care of my family. And I think that's one of the misconceptions that came in with respect to job when people stop being entrepreneurs. People start putting all their faith and trust in this employer, that this employer is just going to be there. And guess what? That's not the case. So many companies have downsized. So many companies have laid off this year. So many companies in 2026 are going to lay off. Can your family stand that? Can your financial situation stand the fact of you being laid off for 3, 6, 9, 12 months? If it's not, the question is, my friend, what are you going to do? I promise you, I'm not just on here ranting for nothing. What I'm really ranting behind is that I want you all to make sure that you have coverage with purpose, right? If you have a life insurance policy with living benefits, that is coverage with purpose. Why am I saying that? God forbid, but if you pass, your family is taken care of. And again, it's more than this $50,000 and $100,000. Your family is taken care of. There's purpose there. And then additionally, God forbid, if you get sick, again, now that pays out while you're still alive. That's purpose on two fronts. If you have a life insurance policy that does not have living benefits, that does not have a critical, chronic, or terminal illness or injury benefit, you are cheating yourself. And that's what so many people have. I'll say this last thing as I get ready to get out of here, right? One thing I know, and this is for my first responders. This is for my law enforcement, my first responder folk. I really want y'all to listen to this. And so, folks, if y'all know somebody out there, if they're your friend, if they're relative, friend, or associate, and they are law enforcement, please send them this part. If you don't send them the rest of it, please send them this part right here, what I'm about to share, because I need them to hear it, because they are some of the best of us, because they run to danger when most people run away. They come to our aid when we're discombobulated and don't know what to do. They are the best of us in our community. So I have a deep love for law enforcement. I have an appreciation for law enforcement. You should know that. But watch this. The way the life insurance policy is set up for law enforcement, as well as for my first responders, unless you die in a gunfight or in the middle of something where you're on duty and you're going after the bad guy, you are not going to get the big $300, $400, $500,000 life insurance policy. That is not what you're going to get. Your family is only going to get about $30, $40, maybe $50,000. And that's it. Hear me, and hear me good. Unless that law enforcement officer dies when they are in pursuit, shot by somebody or whatever the case may be, if they do that, the family gets a bigger life insurance policy. If they just die of natural causes, the family barely gets any money. Like I say, maybe $50,000. I'm telling you what I know. How sad is that? Because these are the people who put their life on the line. And this goes back to Mr. Derek Williams. Mr. Derek Williams put his life on the line for 19 and a half years. And now he has an illness. And because of it, they're kicking him to the curb. And now he can't come get life insurance from me. He can't get life insurance from nobody because he's on dialysis. Dialysis, Alzheimer's, most times you get cancers, heart. It depends on what it is. Yeah. You're uninsurable then, Jack. So my point being, how many law enforcement officers do we know out here? They riding the road right now. They're going to be riding the road tonight, making sure we're good. But if something happens to them where it's not they're on the job, in the middle, in the thick of things, their family is only going to get about $50,000, which is nothing, which is absolutely nothing. It's a shame. But like I say, this is what we don't know. And that's my goal this year. My goal this year is to make sure that all of our first responders are properly protected. That's my goal. My goal is to make sure that law enforcement all across this country, their families never, ever have to worry about money if something should happen to them. Not just whether you get shot, but again, life happens. Again, Mr. Williams now put his story here in the chat, but I want y'all to see Derek Williams gave his life to his community, and now they throwing him out like a used Kleenex. How many more law enforcement officers should be in that position? My answer is 0. But guess what? You, officer, you deputy, you sheriff, you're the one that's going to have to take care of you and your family. And Generational Wealth Builders is here to make sure that y'all are taken care of. With our affordable products, it's easy for us to make sure you're protected. That in case, again, God forbid, again, and I'm not even talking about death. I'm talking about sickness, because life happens. And we can't choose when life happens. But when it happens, you want to make sure that you know that you got 6 figures coming in to make sure your family's straight. Don't you? Don't you want to know that, God forbid, if you're diagnosed with, you have a heart attack, you have stroke, you have PTSD that you can't deal with. Don't you want to know that there's a policy that'll kick in and say, here you go, man, you straight. You might not be able to work right now, but here you go, you straight. I think you would. And so that's my purpose for getting on here tonight. I want to make sure that people are taken care of. Too many people, too many of our police officers, too many of our law enforcement, they serve our communities. And then when they get sick, they're just off to the side and nobody pays attention to them. We salute them. Oh, yeah, you did a great job there. But again, what is that doing for their family? Again, that's what I'm concerned about. Because again, if you're out here working all this overtime to give your family a good life, to protect our community, I'm going to protect that if you'll allow me to. Can't do it if you don't allow me to, though. So that's my rant for the night. That's my rant probably for the rest of the year. And then not just law enforcement, everybody else. Listen, men especially, if you are a man, and you're taking care of your family, and you're building a legacy for your family, you too need one of these policies as well. Because again, if you're the breadwinner, if you're an income earner, you need to have one of these policies. If somebody is depending on you You need to have a life insurance policy that has living benefits. Again, I got on here for law enforcement, but guess what? You need it too. Those of you on those forklifts, come on here. How many times have you heard? I heard a tragic story about 2 weeks ago when I was traveling about a gentleman. Forklift went through the truck, lost his leg. What is he going to do now? You get what I'm saying? These are the kind of things that happen. Again, he may get a lawsuit, but how long before that lawsuit pays out? Last thing I'll say, and I'm done. This is why everybody needs to have life insurance with living benefits. Had a story of a young lady. She got into a car wreck. Car flipped over, messed up her neck, something fierce, right? I said, well, hey, did you call Morgan & Morgan? I did, but that person didn't have no insurance. And so because they didn't have no insurance, nothing I can do. Nothing can be done. Man, look, I would have went and found that joker. And I promise you, yeah, let me not say that because I don't need that on the book in the grant. But where I'm going with this is, folks, you need to protect you. And the insurance on your job ain't enough, right? Your health insurance, but these supplemental insurance, they are not for your favor. Again, I'll say this again. Short-term disability takes 6 to 8 weeks to kick in. Read yours. You'll see what I'm saying is true. Long-term disability, normally 180 days after you've done your paperwork. FMLA, you get no money coming in. They'll hold your job for a while, but you have nothing coming in. What are you going to do financially? And can I just be honest? I ain't being that guy, none, but most people have less than $100,000 in their 401k. And so if you pull that money out, that's basically your annual income. And then you spending it on medicine and everything else, you're going to run out of money. What are you going to do? This is why I'm telling you, please, let's take some time. Inbox me, say, Rod, let's talk. I promise you I won't take too much of your time. I promise you. But you need to be protected and your family needs to be protected. You've just spent all this money on Christmas to make sure your family has a great Christmas, to make sure it's memorable. Why would you not protect yourself to make sure that, God forbid, if something happens, you can still make sure that your family has a great Christmas? You might not be in the physical form or be able to put up the Christmas tree next year, but you can still make sure they have a good Christmas. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to watch out for you. I'm here to protect you and your livelihood. So with that being said, folks, that's my time for tonight. Again, may the Lord bless each one of you. I pray that during this Christmas holiday, you'll look at those that are with you and you'll thank God for them. This is a hard time of the year for my family. As y'all know, my son, he passed 4 years ago. The anniversary was on the 21st. And his birthday is the day after Christmas. So again, this week is a tough week for my family and I. And if I could give you any advice, I say just look at those that are with you and love on them, right? You never, ever know. You never know when something is going to happen. And I tell you, I'd give anything. I'd give my life just to hold them just one more time. But I can't. And so all I can do is encourage you to do that. Love on your people. Love on them. Don't just make it about the toys and the games. Love on one another. Fathers, pick up your babies. Hold them, right? Hold them. Mothers, love on your sons. Love on your daughters, right? Love on them. That's the best thing I can tell you to do. That's the best gift. They'll remember that more than whatever you bought them if you just love on them. If you just take time to just be a family and just sit around and enjoy one another's company, right? So that's my time tonight. As always, I always tell y'all, remember, until we meet again, knowledge is not power until it's applied. You can have an 18-wheeler truck gassed up and ready to go, but until you apply that clutch and put it in gear, that's when it becomes powerful and starts moving forward. So until we meet again on the next time, y'all stay blessed. I love you with the love of the Lord. Please like, please share. Let folk know that crazy man is gone out there again. And we'll see you again on the next time. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. God bless. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.